Carol Burnett, the lady America loves for her big warm smile and super funny jokes, has always been known as the nicest person in Hollywood. But after years of staying calm and classy, she just shocked everyone. Now in her 90s, in a super rare interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Carol Burnett talked openly about the guys she really couldn't stand during her whole life. These weren't random people, they were guys who were super important in her job and her private life. Some cheated on her or fought nasty over money and stuff they owned together. Others used their power to keep her off big shows like Saturday Night Live for years and years. One younger guy even made fun of how she looked in a really gross sketch, so Burnett had to go to court to protect her name. So who were these guys that hurt this super famous TV star so bad? And who was the one she could never forgive? One of them was Harvey Korman, her co-star she trusted the most, but he also caused a huge fight that made Carol do the toughest thing ever: fire him. Back in the super cool 1970s TV world where every laugh got more people watching and made tons of money, the Carol Burnett Show was the best. Carol Burnett and Harvey Korman were the perfect team. People thought they were made to act together. Carol was the heart of the show, and Harvey made everyone laugh everywhere. But behind all the clapping and jokes, things got tense. Their long friendship started breaking. By 1974, the show was in its 7th season, more popular than ever. CBS said yes to 3 more years and they just won their 4th Emmy, but that same year, Carol and Harvey started having big problems. The costume guy Bob Mackie later said Harvey got grumpy, snapped at people, and even started avoiding Carol backstage. A big fight was coming. Some people think Harvey felt Carol was getting way more famous than him, and it bugged him. The fight finally blew up one April afternoon at Studio 33 in Television City, Los Angeles. They were practicing with guest singer Petula Clark, who just flew in from London. During Harvey's part, the lights messed up and his face was dark. He stopped everything, threw his script on the floor, and yelled, "After all these years, can't anybody get it right?" Everybody froze. The director, Dave Powers, tried to calm him down, but Harvey kept complaining that even Carol didn't notice. That hurt bad. Carol, who was always kind and chill, got up from her seat, walked on stage, and said super calm, "Harvey, I've had enough. If you can't respect everybody here, you don't need to be here." The whole studio went dead quiet. Bob Mackie wrote in his book you could hear a mic drop. Harvey looked at her, then walked off the set. Nobody went after him. A cameraman said later Carol sat alone for more than 30 minutes staring at Harvey's empty chair and whispered, "I didn't want it to end this way, but he went too far." Hours later, the newspaper wrote, "Harvey Korman leaves the Carol Burnett Show during rehearsal." CBS said nothing, but gossip flew everywhere. Reporters said Carol finally got fed up after months of fights. For 3 whole days, Hollywood wouldn't stop talking. Carol's friend, Vicki Lawrence, tried calling Harvey, but he didn't answer. Carol kept filming and never said his name again. A crew guy said she looked calm but super tired. Then Wednesday morning, CBS got a call. It was Harvey. He sounded soft and asked to talk to Carol. When she got on the phone, his voice was shaking. "I was wrong," he said. "I want to come back." The next day, Harvey showed up to the morning meeting. Everyone watched quiet while he said sorry to the whole crew, then looked at Carol and said, "I forgot why I started." Carol smiled nice, walked over, and hugged him. The whole room clapped loud, but people there knew something between them changed forever. Harvey stayed on the show until 1977, then left quietly. Carol stayed friends a little, but it was never the same. In 1983 on Entertainment Tonight, when they asked about Harvey, she smiled and said softly, "Harvey made me laugh more than anyone and gave me the biggest headaches." That big fight, now called the Studio 33 blow-up, became one of CBS's most famous backstage stories. It showed how even the best teams can break when egos get too big. After that, Carol got stronger and tougher at work, but she also kept her feelings more private. But her troubles weren't over. Behind the huge success of the Carol Burnett Show, the show that changed TV forever, her marriage was falling apart quietly. Carol Burnett and her husband Joe Hamilton used to be the perfect TV couple at CBS, but slowly everything turned sad and quiet. Their love story started in 1960 when Carol was a young performer on The Gary Moore Show. Joe Hamilton was a producer 10 years older who worked on big shows before. They met at a CBS taping in New York. Carol later said, "He looked at me like I really mattered." 3 years later, they got married in a small California wedding with just close friends. By 1967, when the Carol Burnett Show started, Joe was the producer, her teacher, and her partner. They were the dream team. She brought the heart, he kept everything organized. But even being super successful can hurt a marriage. Bob Mackey said by 1975, Joe started bossing more. He wanted to okay every guest and script before Carol saw them. Once he said, "Cut the emotional parts and just do jokes." Carol said, "No. People need heart and laughs." That started the fights at work and home. Joe was home less and less. At first, Carol thought it was just work. Then gossip started. In August 1979, TV Guide hinted a famous producer was seeing someone at work in the editing room. No names, but everyone knew. Crew saw Joe with a young CBS editor at the restaurant near the studio. Carol didn't say anything at first, but Vicky Law, Rent said Carol cried when she heard people talking about Joe being too close to that girl. The last straw came in 1982. While looking at papers, Carol's lawyer found Joe made his own company and put spin-off shows from her sketches under his name only, like Mama's Family, and didn't give Carol credit. Carol went to their office at CBS and asked, "Do you think it's fair to take what we built together and make it just yours?" Joe said cold, "It's business, Carol, not feelings." That ended it. On March 3, 1983, Carol filed for divorce. The newspaper said, Carol Burnett and Joe Hamilton split, and it was one of the messiest money fights in Hollywood. Joe wanted all the rights and money from the show. Carol fought to keep the name and half the cash. The court stuff lasted almost a year. Reporters waited outside every day. Carol stayed cool. Joe looked worn out. They barely talked. In June 1984, the judge said Carol keeps the show name. Joe gets 40% of rerun money. When someone asked how she felt, Carol said quietly, "We were the best team until he forgot I was more than just a partner." That quote was on the cover of People magazine, and everyone talked about it. After the divorce, Carol cut Joe out of everything. His new shows never got big. He died of heart problems in 1991. Carol didn't go to the funeral but sent white flowers with a note. "I wish you peace, Joe. As for me, I'll keep going." Short, but it said everything. Years later at the Paley Center, she said softly, "Joe taught me love isn't enough in this business. You need trust too." Marlon Brando, a super late phone call that made Carol super mad. The third guy was Marlon Brando. Some Hollywood stories sound fake until you learn they're real. One of the weirdest was about comedy queen Carol Burnett and Marlon Brando, right after he blew everyone away in The Godfather in 1972. It was a quiet July night in 1972. Los Angeles was sleeping. Carol's house up in Coldwater Canyon was dark, just her and her 2 daughters. At 3 a.m., the phone rang loud. She even had her friend Lucille Ball on the show. Lucille said, "Carol told me the best answer is people turn on the TV and we're still there." Carol never forgot. When a movie studio wanted her and Cary Grant together in 1970, she said no, too busy. A friend said really she didn't want to work with someone who hates women's laughs. Cary never said sorry, but in his biography it says he once admitted, "Carol is so smart and strong she made me nervous." Funny enough, him being mean just made Carol work harder. She kept playing normal ladies, housewives, maids, and won 3 Emmys in a row. Her show became a TV classic. From that, Carol learned, don't fight with words, let winning do the talking. But as Carol got more and more famous, some powerful guys got annoyed. One was Lorne Michaels. Carol always said he ignored women and kept her off Saturday Night Live on purpose. In TV history, this is one of the weirdest things. For almost 50 years, Carol Burnett, the lady who started Funny Women on TV, never got asked to host SNL. Everyone thought it was mean on purpose. It started in 1975 when SNL began in New York. Carol's show was the #1 variety show. She did warm, funny characters. Lorne was doing new, edgy, cool kid jokes. A critic said Carol should host to bring old and new together. That little comment started years of nothing. Inside NBC, they talked about Carol for season 2, but Lorne supposedly said she doesn't fit. She's old TV, we're new. A book said he called her the face of old television. That started tons of gossip. In 1981, a newspaper said Carol wanted to host but never got an answer. Fans went crazy and wrote NBC. NBC just said hosts are picked for the season vibe. Nobody bought it. Carol never begged in public, but she felt pushed away. On Larry King in the 80s, she laughed and said, "Guess I'm not edgy enough for them." People who worked with Lorne said he only wanted young rebel humor, not Carol's nice stuff. He even said no when big money people wanted Carol in the 10-year special. At a big TV party in 1991, Carol got a standing ovation. Then when Lorne spoke, she sat still with a tiny smile staring at the camera. TV called it the coldest look ever. The story almost died until 2023 when NBC did a big special for Carol's 90th birthday. A reporter asked if she's sad she never hosted SNL. Carol smiled and said, "I guess they didn't need me, and I didn't need them either." That ended 50 years of quiet. In 24 hours, Hamlar Invite Carol to SNL was everywhere, fans begging NBC to fix it. Later, Carol said, "Some people don't know kindness is its own power." After that, she did less new TV, keeping her classic style, but one more surprise was coming.